Good Monday morning of the 33rd week in Ordinary Time. This is a wonderful, these are powerful. As the church comes to the end of the church year, okay, as it begins Advent in a few weeks, they use the book of Revelation, powerful readings, okay? They're difficult, though. I can't say I'm an interpreter of them, but they are, and they're both positive and warning all at the same time. You got, in other words, it reminds me of the movie The Godfather. You got to answer for Carlo, Charlie. Carlo, you got to answer for Sonny. You got to answer, you see? And you got to answer for the life you've been given. And let me read it to you, okay? Or else I'm going to mess it all up, okay? I heard the Lord saying to me, to the angel of the church in Ephesus, write this. The one who holds the 7 stars in his right hand and walks in the midst of the 7 gold lampstands says this: I know your works, your labor, and your endurance, and that you cannot tolerate the wicked. You have tested those who are called themselves apostles but are not, and discovered that they are impostors. Moreover, you have endurance and have suffered for my name, and you have not grown weary. Yet I hold this against you. You have lost the love you had at first. Realize how far you have fallen. Repent and do the works you did at first. Otherwise, I will come to you and remove your lampstand from its place unless you repent. That's a powerful reading. I think of any vocation, and I think that's what he's describing, whether it's marital or mine. We used to call it first fervor, and how it wanes by the ordinariness of everyday life. And that is so true of a marriage and a family. The passionate beginning, the intensity of the love often becomes so routine as to become, as it were, numbing. All the right things are done. Paycheck comes in, the food is cooked, the home's neat and clean. You're good at your work, you're good at raising your kids, you get your kids to school, you help them with you're doing all the right things. And you do them lovingly. You do it because you want to do them, because it's your duty to do them, a combination of both. But there's still something lacking. And what's lacking, I think, is that initial, powerful love that binds you together from the start. And that expresses itself in these other manners. And you say, well, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. That's the ideal. The problem is very often the routines, in a sense, numb out the love and the affection. It becomes a sideline, as it were, to the everydayness of life. In other words, it isn't a lack of fidelity or a case of infidelity. It's a case of, in a sense, routine, which becomes a form of lack of active fidelity, looking out for each other, taking each other for granted. And it's the same in my racket. It's to take the priesthood for granted, to take the exercise of the virtues for granted. And before you know it, you're numb to the excitement and the enthusiasm that goes with having something very special in your life. In your cases, in most cases, your spousal relationship, your wife or your husband, your children, your grandchildren, the energy that goes into that. So often the routine numbs that. Doesn't take it away, just numbs it. It numbs the sharpness of it. And that's sad. I think in some ways, that's how marriages fail or get in trouble. Let's say they don't fail, but they get in trouble because there's a lack of enthusiasm. There's a lack of passionate engagement, which is normal, but also necessary. It's necessary that we have moments of intimacy, moments of caring, moments of seeing that first got us together, you see. If you don't, the risk is you feel alone. Though you're not alone, you feel alone. You feel unseen. And that makes you vulnerable to anyone who comes along who actually begins to see you. And that's how come sometimes, sadly, affairs occur. The routineness of life leaves us vulnerable to the explosive moment of someone who sees you, appreciates you, and speaks to you as a person, as who you are, not what you are, who you are. It's interesting, today's gospel is the healing of the blind man. When Christ says to him, "What do you want from me?" He said, "Lord, that I may see." Boy, is that a great prayer. Lord, that I may see, that I may always see those you have given me in my life to love and be loved by. May I always see them and adore and love the ones that I see and the ones who see me. Okay. I told you a million times, I know I keep beating it to death, but it's a profound, keen insight what my friend Sarah, her grandmother, said about Sarah. Before you can love her, you must first see her. It's the same thing in the sense of the gospel. Seeing means with your heart open to love, not looking at, but having an openness to see her beauty, her goodness, her specialty, what makes her her or him, you see? Lord, that I may see. That's a great prayer. Lord, that I may see. That I may never become so dull-witted that I fail to see the beauty of the people in my life, that I fail to see them. I only look at them or take them for granted, or whatever the numbing habits of life can cause. To fail to see with the energy of intimacy and desire and openness. Right? We have it with a vengeance when we're courting, dating, engagement, first years of marriage. But what happens when you go so many years, you're married 40 years, your kids are grown, whatever. It's easy. At least it's common to lose the intensity of the seeing. You take each other for granted. On the other hand, anyone who's been married a long time, I witnessed it as a priest. The love is still there, and it is a form of intimacy and a form of seeing that is far, far deeper than the initial seeing. I saw that in my family. I saw that you reinvigorate the seeing, and you treasure the person that you see, and her beauty and his beauty is in who and what and she is or he is. And you see them with an intimacy of an open heart, and you love them, even if they don't know you anymore. That was my father. And when he died, I told you what my mother said, because I thought, well, you're relieved, Ma. No more buses to the nursing home and all that. And he didn't know her. He didn't know her at all. And she said he was still alive. He was still alive. That's the truth. That's fidelity. I have a picture on the wall in my home here. I'm going to show it to my kids in class. It's a photograph. It was in the newspaper. My mother and father were walking along Seven Rock, the beach. Pop didn't know who he was walking with. And so as they are separate, there's an intimacy in that picture that's breathtaking. That's why they took the picture. Somebody told them about it. They told the newspaper. They went out there deliberately to catch them walking, and they took a picture. That's intimacy. See? Walking together, even though my father didn't know my mother. She was so far gone. Yeah. My mother grieved profoundly when he died. Even though she never had to take another bus ride all day, going back and forth to see him, he was still alive, and she loved him. My mother modeled love for me. It's not what you get out of it. It's the commitment of seeing the beloved and giving yourself to the beloved.